Someone mentioned to me that, what they really want to know is when this COVID thing is going to be over. Well, welcome to Wednesday Woo, the card party edition. Pew, 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 pew. I keep saying I'm going to get like sound effects, and that just has not happened yet. Thank you for your patience today. My fancy cameras sometimes do their own fancy business, but I'm super excited to be here today to help answer some questions, right? So any questions that you have, I'll start now by saying that I'm going to have you pop in. Let me see if I can type this in. Pop in your questions to the chat. And yeah, so awesome. Okay. So before we get started today, I want to start by, I actually had an interesting, not really question. Someone mentioned to me that, what they really want to know is when this COVID thing is going to be over with. And to that, my response is that the COVID thing isn't going to be over, right? I mean, that question about, what have we learned? What have we experienced? What are we going to do now and moving forward as it relates to COVID? Is really the question, right? So you can't ask, you can't really get a response to what are we going to do? Like, when is this going to be over, right? The COVID variations have been around for many, many years and will probably continue to move forward. But what I want you to think about is the questions that you're asking yourself, right? Whether it's here for tarot, whether it's when you're spending time in the mornings and you're journaling, whenever you're sitting to connect to your intuition, to connect to your higher self, it's really important. And I spend a fair amount of time when I do readings with people in getting to the heart of the question that people really have, right? And it can be tricky, right? I mean, it's not something that, we're all really accustomed to. I'm going to move this over here. Asking the questions that are really at the core of who we are and what we want to know can be really difficult. And so the question about, when is COVID going to be over really is more about when will I be able to move forward in this new life, in this new world that I'm experiencing, right? There are questions. I had a question yesterday from someone that I saw, and they were very concerned about, like, where should they be physically, right? In the world, should they, if you think about, if you want to move, if you want to live in another city, state, country, right? And that's the idea. When you walk in, right, you have this notion that something isn't going right in my life right now, and how can I eliminate that thing, or how can I put myself in a different situation? When in reality, the questions that you really need to know and you really need to ask yourself about and you really need to focus on are usually not related to that at all, right? So the question about, location wasn't really so much about location. It was about finding your place in the world, who you are, what's going to make you happy, and what's going to get you to a space of clarity and to healthiness, right? And so as you think about, your question, whether you are watching live or whether you watch this in the future, whenever you're asking yourself questions, I want you to think about whatever that question is, go another layer deeper. Right. And so I'd love for you, again, to kind of put any question that you have in, and I'll help you if I feel like that needs to go a little bit deeper. But I want you to think, even in this context of Pride, right? This is the last day, sadly, of June of our Pride Month and celebration. And it's been so fun chatting with everybody and getting to share a little bit about myself and hearing from all of you, and a little bit getting to know all of you a little bit more has been really, really fun. I've been really excited to do it and to see it. And as we think about finding and sharing the things that make us happy, the things that make us most proud, right? Again, step back and ask yourself those questions. Ask yourself the questions about, where am I right now? What do I need to know right now? What do I need just today, right? It's also not about asking these giant questions of, what's the meaning of life, right? That's going to be a lot less helpful. Oh, sorry, it just got like super dark outside all of a sudden. I think it's starting to rain. But those are the things to think about. These practical questions of, what do I need to know right now? What energy can I tap into right now, right? So let me just make sure that nobody has a question and that everything is popping up here. Good. So, oh, now it looks like it's working. I can't tell what's really happening in or out today. So let me start by, I did have one person send in a question. And so I don't know if Cynthia's here. I don't think so. If you are, Cynthia, you can pop into the chat. I did get a chance to talk a little bit via text message back and forth with Cynthia. And so Cynthia initially wanted to check in around her business, and she's starting a new business and is interested in knowing, initially it was interested in knowing, if she's on the right track, if this is the right thing for her to do or not, and if it would be successful. And after having some conversation, we kind of got down more to the heart of, is this a thing that's really going to be fulfilling for her, right? Is it going to be really beneficial for her, right? Because at the end of the day, if it's not fulfilling for you, it's going to be really difficult, especially as an entrepreneur, to grow that business, to build that business, to expand out and get other people to buy into it, right? So let's see. I'm going to pull a card, and I'm going to put this up here. And again, I know I don't think Cynthia is here right now, but I'm going to put this up so that when you watch this later on, you can kind of see, you get to see the card. And Cynthia, when you watch this later on, I just want you to take a look at this card, look at what's jumping out at you, right? Whether it's an image, whether it's a color, whether it's a feeling that you're getting. And I'm going to give you some general information about the card just because you're not here right now. And, we can fill in some context later for you, because my philosophy is that it's much more important to know what you think, what you see, and what you're connecting with versus just kind of the general meaning of the card. So So we have here the Seven of Cups. So as I explain all the time to folks, that the tarot is broken into two categories. There's the major arcana and the minor arcana. And major arcana are the big life lessons that happen throughout our lives. And the minor arcana are the more day-to-day ongoing lessons that help get us to those bigger life lessons, right? And so in the minor arcana, it's broken into 4 categories. And one of those suits or categories is cups. And cups are all about emotions, right? And so when we think about emotions, and we think about sevens in this context, and sevens really are about choices, about discovering kind of what's next for you, reflecting on where you are and what you want, and kind of putting those things together, right? So if we think about this in terms of you starting your business, of you, is it what you're doing right now? Is it something that feels good for you, that feels wholesome and healthy for you? This card really indicates that there are a lot of options. There are a lot of things that you need to take into consideration when you're moving forward with this project. And, from what I understand, when we've already spoken, you have made a lot of choices. You have been as clear and specific as you can be right now in this early phase of moving your business forward in a direction that feels really useful intellectually for you. Being able to pull this suit of cups kind of says to me that, your emotions need to play a bigger role in what you're doing, right? As you're making these choices, as things are jumping out at you, for me, when I looked at the card, the first thing that popped out was that kind of shrouded figure. And to me, again, my energy connecting to that as a choice, as a thing that kind of pops out, and you can tell me, again, what jumped out at you, is that it's about when things are revealed, as things are becoming revealed to you, really connecting with your emotion around those revelations, right? And it's hard because we're taught to think more than we're taught to feel. But really, you are a very intuitive person. We all are. And making sure that you are finding ways to intuitively connect to these decisions, to these revelations as things start to come up for you, right? That's going to be really important for you. Also, thinking about, as we think about whether this is going to be healthy and nourishing for your spirit, right? Is this something that really feels good to you? Again, for me, with that one right in the middle kind of jumping out, that there are pieces and parts of this that you still don't even know about as far as connecting to, right? There are pieces that you haven't even been able to perceive yet, that you're going to be connecting to emotionally and intuitively. So make sure that you are allowing yourself to be open to and accepting those things, right? So I hope that's helpful for you. Let me know when you see this. I am going to hide this piece here. Wonderful. And so what I'll do is, and I know I was running technology, was doing what it wanted to do today. And so I want to give you all an opportunity, if you haven't already, to come on in to the WTF with Mel Facebook group starting in July. I'm going to be doing all of the lives will be happening over there in the group. And we're going to be doing a lot more, not just card parties, but I'm going to be starting to roll out some workshops that you'll find out more about. I'm going to be putting in some resources for you specifically to check out and to be able to have access to. And that's all going to be inside the group. So make sure that you look for those. And if you have questions, if you have um, concepts, ideas around tarot, around growing and transformation in this time of clarity, I'd love for you to post in any of your questions, any of your concerns that you would like for me to either answer for you or get information for you about. I'm going to be bringing in some really amazing guest speakers, so we get all kinds of perspectives on how we're all really transitioning forward. And so you're not going to want to miss any of those things out. You're not going to want to miss out on any of those things. Now, also, and I will wrap up here unless anyone has any other questions right now, that you can always pop in your questions either here or with a 2-minute tarot. And this is sort of what you see here in the card party. So this is your opportunity to ask a question. And there's a little application right there. You just pop your question in, and then I will send you your own 2-minute video back after having pulled a card for you. And, you know, when you do that, there's of course, no obligation afterwards. If you want to spend some more time with me, you'll have an option to do that. But if you really just needed a little nudge, then this is perfect. You'll have that to keep forever and ever. And it's been really fun. I've gotten some really great questions from great folks, and we've started some wonderful dialogue. So I'm excited for you to send your questions in there if you're watching this in the future and didn't have an opportunity to be here live and ask your questions. So I think that's it right now. I hope you all have had a spectacular June. I'm gonna put this back away. I hope you've all had a spectacular June and had an opportunity to, you know, show your pride, share your pride like I have. Thank you so much for all your support this month and encouragement of all the posts that I put out. And, you know, now that we've moved in to this energy of Cancer and this loving, emotional Cancer season, which I am a Cancer and so is my wife. So we're all about this. We're going to be spending time in July really talking about getting at the core of our emotions and, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what that means so that we can start to process them and move forward. So I really hope that you continue to join me throughout July for those conversations. Let me know your questions, and we'll talk soon. Stay magical, everybody.